Hello, BookTube. I've got a tiny bit of mail for you today on this bright, warm, sunny springtime Wednesday in Boston. Just a lovely, beautiful day. Blue sky, not a hint of clouds, not a hint of moisture, not a hint of breeze, and 85 degrees with 95% humidity. So, shirt sleeve weather. The early morning is relatively cool, so perfect for a nice long dog walk. And once the sun is starting to set or has set completely, it then cools off for another long dog walk. So lovely days. I mentioned yesterday that all of the work, it wasn't much work, but I don't usually do it anyway, so it was a lot of work to me. All the work of hauling out blankets and sweatshirts and sweatpants and whatnot, and working them through the laundry, one load at a time, getting them all done, bringing them out, folding them neatly, putting them on shelves, all that wasted. But it's over with now. It's not like I'm obsessing about it. So we've got a couple of packages we can look at here before this room gets too hot for video making. I closed the window when I'm making videos to try to decrease the background noise. And to my ear from yesterday, it seems to work. But it's so hot that you can't have the window closed for long. I've got to open it in between videos to wait for maybe some sort of air to cool things down. Just the sort of thing you expect a week from Halloween. It's the natural thing in New England. So what is this first one? All right. This looks interesting. Is this late getting to me? No, it's not. November 5th. This is from the folks at Osprey Publishing. I love getting books from them. They do great work. This is by Mike Cole, and it is called Steel Lobsters, Crown, Commonwealth, and the Last Knights of England. There's a steel lobster on the cover there. That is an extremely old way to spell Mike. I wonder what this author's story is. We'll find out. It's a finished copy, so we can see what the author's like. But first, what's the book? This is the dramatic story of the Steel Lobsters, Sir Arthur Heselridge's regiment of horse in the English Civil War, the last fully armored knights in England. The 17th century battlefield ushered in a new era, with formed musketeers and pistol-wielding cavalry gradually taking over from the knights and men-at-arms that had dominated the European battlefield. Based on a detailed study of the primary sources, this book tells the story of this transition through the history of the last fully armored knights in England. Mike Cole, an award-winning novelist, historian, and veteran, I don't think I've ever read anything by this guy, examines the life and times of Sir Arthur Heselridge and his regiment of horse, known as the Lobsters, as they were encased in plate armor. Oh, what did I mention about background noise? How audible is that? I assume it's a lot softer than it was when I was out on the fainting couch. This book covers the full history of England's last knights, from the seeds of their creation in Heselridge's experience as a young cavalry officer to their final defeat at the Round Way Down in July 1643 and the decision to abandon their armor. It provides lavish detail on arms, armor, and tactics, but also covers the human story of Arthur Heselridge and the men who served under him and even those who opposed him. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So this comes out in early November. So what do we know about the author? Okay, that is the author right there. I'm sure that a lot of you will recognize him for his appearances in Guardians of the Galaxy. Following a long career in the military, intelligence, and law enforcement, Mike Cole is a fire/rescue responder in New York's Hudson Valley. He is that now, and he's writing a carefully researched work of history. He is a freelance historian and writer and had published 10 novels with publishers including Penguin, Random House, and Macmillan, in addition to his history books for Osprey. And he's appeared in a whole bunch of periodicals, and I no sooner mentioned background noise than we're having one siren after another. His stuff has appeared in the New York Times, the Smithsonian Magazine, the Daily Beast, Foreign Policy, the New Republic, McSweeney's, and Slate. And he has starred on TV shows on CBS and Discovery and was recently featured on NPR. Okay, and he wrote... Okay, I thought I recognized this name. He wrote, I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out. He was one of the writers on The Killing Ground about Thermopylae, which I not only read, but had a review. I ran a review of it. Fantastic. Well, okay, that was a really good book. So this is bound to be really good. Boy, I'd love to talk to him. How fascinating that must be to be a freelance historian in today's day and age. I wonder if he'd be amenable to that. Doesn't sound like he has a single minute to spare, but I wonder if he'd be amenable to that. I'll have to check and see. But anyway, the English Civil War. So fantastic. Then we move on to the second and final package, which is a whole bunch of stuff stickered all over it. Is this maybe from one of you? That would not be good. You're not supposed to break rule number 1. Oh no! It's just an unbound galley. That's all. Okay. All right. Great. So there was nothing in here. This is what you get. You can get something like this. This is a finished copy. This is identical to what you're going to get in the bookstore when you go and look for it. But you can also get, do I have an example near me? I probably do. In this new refurbished corner, I probably have examples of everything. You can also, as you know already, if you watch this channel, you can get a review copy, which would be basically this, only stripped of all the last editions. The acknowledgments won't be there. Probably a lot of the critical apparatus won't be there because it's still being, arranged, or in the case of most modern works of history, discarded. But you can still get the bulk of the book, and the binding will be roughly the same. The dimensions will be the same. Your ARC, your review copy, will just be this without the hardcovers. But then there's an earlier version, which is where somebody just takes the pages. There's no binding. They just take the pages and bind them together at a local Kinko's to send it to you early. And that's what this is. And that's great. Ordinarily, that means you're going to be getting it well ahead of time. But the problem is it's got nothing on it. There's no sheet in here, so I don't know when this is coming out. No idea of anything like that. And it also it's not going to have anything in the way of publicity material. It's just the text of the book. All that stuff gets added later. So we can still look at it a lot. This is by Dorian Lynskey, sorry. And it is Everything Must Go, the stories we tell about the end of the world. Everything must go. So this is not going to have anything in the way of information, but maybe the introduction will help us. I think this is, if I remember correctly, this is a book about all the different ideas about the end of the world. Yes, okay. Part 2, after an introductory part 2 is about falling rocks. It's about asteroid impacts, like the one we're going to have in just a few years. that scientists are saying, no, absolutely we're not going to have. It's absolutely not going to happen. It's going to pass closer to us than our communication satellites, but it's not going to strike the Earth. Okay, fine. Believe that if you like. If NASA knew, not to get all deep impact on you, but if NASA knew for absolute certain that this was going to strike the Earth, would they tell anybody? No. Would the U.S. government tell its citizens that all life on Earth is going to be over in a few years? No, they wouldn't say that. Then part number 3 is the bomb. So the atomic warfare. Then machines, artificial intelligence, probably gray goo will be in there too. Then collapse, which is the you-know-what hitting the fan. This is the favorite bugaboo of preppers. What happens if this gigantic interdependent network that all nations have developed, even North Korea, what happens if that entire network goes down for whatever reason? Let's say, since it's not any one of the options that we've seen so far, what if it's an attack of some kind, a terrorist attack of some kind, and that goes down? Well, where does that leave society? Where does that leave you? There's nothing at all you can do against an asteroid impact, but there's plenty you can do about that. Okay, part number 6 is pandemic, and we've all lived through that, so we know at least what a mild version of that is like. And then part 7, thankfully, is the climate. Great. So, all right, so that's the table of contents. Let's see here. Okay, the beginning starts with a quote from Carl Sagan. And then it opens in this way. It is a sunny afternoon in Taormina, Sicily, where I have lived. And 2 wealthy couples on holiday are drinking Aperol Spritz in a balcony overlooking the sea. Harper, who runs on anxiety and guilt, says that she has trouble sleeping because of, quote, everything that's going on in the world. Daphne, who runs on pleasure and denial, asks what she means. Oh, I don't know, says Harper, just like the end of the world. Daphne laughs. Oh no, Harper, the world's not ending. It's not that bad. She doesn't follow the news anymore. And even if it was as bad as they say, I mean, what can you really do, you know? Harper and Daphne are sitting on the same beautiful hotel balcony, drinking the same expensive drinks, but only one of them is tormented by the sense that we are all doomed. It's like we're all entertaining each other while the world burns, says Harper. This is a scene from season 2 of HBO series The White Lotus, starring Aubrey Plaza as Harper and Megan Fahey as Daphne. The show leaves open the question of whether Harper's position is a morally responsible reaction to vast and dangerous problems or a yelp of impotent despair. Okay. Even if we are not all religious, we like to think that our own time is a unique and crucial turning point. The word crisis comes from a medical Latin term for the point in an illness that decides whether the patient will recover or die. We seem to be built to imagine that we live, if not at the end of the world, then at least at the end of an era. We love to talk about the death of this or the fall of that and to boast that we are there to witness it. Yes, I've done that on this channel, haven't I? Just 2 weeks. It's just 2 weeks. It's not 2 weeks until Apophis, it's not 2 weeks until we are visited by this object, this near-Earth object that astrophysicists are saying is going to come close enough so that you could spot craters on its surface with the naked eye in broad daylight. But it's not going to hit us. Don't worry about that. It's not going to hit us. Astrophysicists are talking about that, which is a long time from now, years from now. They're not talking about 2 weeks from now. But if what's going to happen in the United States in 2 weeks is not a turning point in history, I don't know what is. It's not like it's local to the United States. It's not like it's not going to affect everybody else in the world for a long time. But those are not the kinds of end times that this book is talking about. Oh my God! I opened it at random to page 165 and came across a mention of Stan Lee, the impresario of Marvel Comics, perhaps the only creative person who saw the upside of atomic power in 1962 was Marvel Comics writer Stan Lee, who sprinkled radiation like fairy dust on the tetchy boffins and ordinary Joes who became Spider-Man, the Hulk, and the Fantastic Four. Okay. All right, well, that's really well written, regardless of what you think about the subject matter. The bits that we've read have been tremendously engaging, so we'll see. Dorian Lynskey sounds like a familiar name. I could swear that I know this already, that I've read this author before. No idea when this comes out. No idea the dates on it at all. This one is early November, for you history fans. This one is history that hasn't happened yet, and it comes out, I assume, in the new year. And that is it. That is our mail haul for today. So all I had to do was mention background noise, and I got sirens. But I'm curious to know how intrusive they were. I don't think they were as bad. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.